webinar invitation. In addition to practitioners from our 42 FAFSA priority districts, we have also invited financial aid representatives from community colleges that are serving the priority school districts to join us today. And we do have several community college representatives that have joined us. So welcome to y'all, and thank you for taking the time to be with us this morning and for all that you're doing to support students and families through the FAFSA completion process in your communities. I wanted to give some brief context for our community college friends. I've included a map here of the 42 FAFSA priority districts. They're indicated with a red dot on the map. And we've been so thrilled to have the chance to partner with all of them through this FAFSA affinity group. Districts were identified through a few means. One, they may have had FAFSA completion as an opportunity for growth on their county attainment profile, their My Future County Attainment Profile, and we can put a link in the chat to where you can find those. Some were identified because they had FAFSA completion rates below 40% as of August 2020, and others were included because they're serving really large populations, really large and diverse populations of students. We've been convening as a group monthly to share trainings on FAFSA, to share effective practices that are being implemented on the ground. And I will say the deep commitment demonstrated by educators in our affinity group has been inspiring, and as you'll see in a moment, has really made a difference. First, let me give an update on where the state is regarding FAFSA completion rates. We are still down about 7.7% from this time last year, but y'all are continuing to shrink that gap. For reference, at the end of November, we were down over 13% from the prior year completions. So amazing work, and kudos to y'all for continuing to make strides in closing that gap. We've done some initial analysis of growth since we've launched the First in FAFSA collaborative and initiative in January. As you can see, as a state, we are at 44.1%. When we compare it to where we were in January, we've had a growth of over 9% over the last couple of months. 9 percentage points, I should say, over the last couple of months. In addition, we've been looking at completion gaps, comparing January 2021 to January 2020. Those are the green lines here. And then March 2021 to March 2020, and those are shown by the blue gaps. So this shows you, again, we're down by about 7.7% when you compare FAFSA completions this time to last year, but y'all are shrinking that gap across the state. We've improved by 1.5 percentage points. When you look at Title I eligible schools, again, the gap between 2021 and 2020 is continuing to shrink with about 1 percentage point improvement. Same for schools that are serving a high percentage of students of color, about 0.6% percentage point improvement. And then for our schools located in rural communities, over the last 2 months, y'all have shrunk that gap by about 1.4 percentage points. Work remains to be done, but clearly your efforts and hard work are really making a difference. Speaking of which, I'm very proud of my fireworks that I have on the PowerPoint here. I wanted to give you all a shout out to all the priority school districts and schools in our priority districts that were recognized in the February FAFSA leaderboard. For districts, priority districts represented 5 of the 9 districts named on the leaderboard this past month. So congratulations to Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools, Greene County Schools, Mooresville Graded School District, Person County Schools, and Turrell County Schools for your wonderful growth and hard work. And to our schools recognized for overall completion rate and growth over the last month, a huge congrats to Cox Mill, Hickory Ridge, and Mount Pleasant in Cabarrus County, Northwest School of the Arts in CMS, Crest High in Cleveland County, Granville Central and JF Webb in Granville County, Greene Central in Greene County, Philip J. Weaver Ed Center in Guilford County, Ocracoke School in Hyde County, Person High in Person County, Central Academy of Technology and Arts and Marvin Ridge High School in Union County, and Apex Friendship High School and Enloe High School in Wake County. I should note that we have not included CIHS on the leaderboard due to some data challenges, but I want you to know that we see you. We know that you are working incredibly hard to serve your students. And thank you to all for your hard work. I'm really looking forward to seeing who shows up on our March leaderboard. That'll be posted, I think it's April 13th. Whoa. Wanted to share that in partnership with our friends at CFNC and Gear Up, myFutureNC is helping plan drive into your future events happening across the state on Saturdays in April. During these events, at the locations you see on the map detailed here, students and families can receive socially distanced support to complete their FAFSA during the hours of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. As you can see on April 17th, there will also be bilingual support offered by Latinx Ed. More information is located on the link that you see on the slide here and in a First and FAFSA newsletter that went out this morning that should be in your inboxes. Additional information to come as we finalize additional drive-in and virtual supports across the state. We do have flyers to promote these opportunities with your students. We will post those on the website you see here later today. And we will also put them in the Google Drive for FAFSA priority districts so you can access those. If you are at a community college financial aid office and don't see your institution listed here and are eager to host an event, we are accepting registrations for host sites through tomorrow, Friday, March 26th. We can put the link in the chat where you can register, as well as a link to a document that will give you more information about the commitment of host sites. And before we turn it over to our Rowan-Cabarrus and Kannapolis City friends, a few call to action items. Again, please do share those FAFSA completion drive into your future events with your students. If you're at a community college and want to be a host site, please let us know by the end of day tomorrow. A reminder that the innovation grant submissions are due by April 30th. As schools that are located in priority districts, you are eligible for a special First and FAFSA Innovation Grant that was established specifically for FAFSA priority district schools. So don't be shy, and please do share the good work that you are doing by submitting that by April 30th. Our next webinar will be in late April. I would love to have a conversation in April around FAFSA completion and parent engagement. I know this has been a particularly challenging year, especially for family engagement, but clearly y'all are having success in making these connections because your FAFSA completion numbers are continuing to increase. I ideally would like to pull together a panel of practitioners to share their approaches, about 10 minutes each, but need help identifying schools. So please reach out to me if you'd like to be considered for the panel. We would love to lift up your good work. No idea is too big or too small to share. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. So don't doubt the power of what you're doing, and we welcome you to share it with the community. And then finally, we are nearing the finish line for the 2020-21 academic year with just a couple of months left to support students through the FAFSA completion process. Thank you for all that you have done and continue to do to support your students and their families. I can't wait to see you all on that March FAFSA leaderboard. And with that, let me introduce our panel before I turn things over to them. We have 5 fantastic presenters joining us today. Natasha Lipscomb currently serves as the Vice President of Student Success Services at Rowan-Cabarrus Community College. Natasha has over 21 years of experience in education administration, including public K-12 and higher ed. Mrs. Lipscomb holds a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology, several North Carolina teaching certifications, and a Master of Management in Public Administration. She's a professional leadership trainer, coach, and speaker through the John C. Maxwell Certification Program and enjoys adding value to the lives of individuals and teams. Allison Scott serves as the Director of Financial Aid at Rowan-Cabarrus Community College. She is approaching her 15-year anniversary in financial aid, and most of that time has been spent serving the students of RCCC. She enjoys helping students and families overcome financial barriers so they can achieve their goals for a better tomorrow. She served on the CASFA board as the State and High School Relations Chair, and in 2018, she graduated from the North Carolina Community College System's Financial Aid Leadership Academy. Shemeda Conyer is a North Carolina Community College career coach at A.L. Brown High School in Kannapolis, North Carolina. Since 2013, she has served in the Student Success Division at Rowan-Cabarrus Community College. As a first-generation college student and HBCU graduate, Shemeda has dedicated her professional career to helping others realize that education is a generational investment that can change the lives of our families, friends, and our communities. Shaniqua Marlowe currently serves as a school counselor and AIG AP coordinator at A.L. Brown High School. Prior to her work as a school counselor, she worked in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions at UNC Charlotte as the Assistant Director for Multicultural Recruitment and Outreach and an admissions counselor. Before joining undergraduate admissions, she worked to provide college access for students from underrepresented populations. A graduate of UNC Chapel Hill, Shaniqua worked for her alma mater as a college advisor in a local Charlotte high school with the Carolina College Advising Corps program. She attributes her passion for working with students to her role as a college advisor. She's also served as a program counselor for TRIO Upward Bound and Education and Talent Search programs. Shaniqua is passionate about working with students and families from all backgrounds. And last but not least, Chelsea Vickers is a college advisor with the Carolina College Advising Corps and serves at A.L. Brown High School in Kannapolis, North Carolina. As a 2020 graduate of UNC Chapel Hill, Chelsea found a passion for higher education through her experience working with the undergraduate business program. She's passionate about connecting with students and their families in order to help make their dreams of higher education become reality. As you can tell from their bios, we have a wonderfully talented and committed group of access and equity advocates leading our discussion today. So thank you to all 5 of them so much for sharing their effective practices this morning. And with that, I will turn it over to our presenters.
Good morning, everyone. Natasha Lipscomb here. And Melissa, thank you so much for this invitation and for all of the collaborative work you're doing across our state to push this forward. Normally my lead-in, and I have a very short, small piece in this presentation because I want to get you to the people who can tell you how it's done and the best way to get it done. But normally my role in this is to be a cheerleader and to help people understand the importance of FAFSA completion as it relates to the overall goals of North Carolina, coupled with those goals of the myFutureNC, so that we can have a ready workforce. I don't have to do that as much today. That job isn't hard with this audience to talk about the importance of FAFSA, the importance of college access, the importance of financing education as an investment. What I'm here to do today is to just talk a little bit about, before we dive into our initiatives and our strategic goals around FAFSA as a community college in partnership with one of our school districts, I want to talk to you about the partnerships that we've been able to form that maybe you have as well, or maybe we'll throw out something that you haven't thought about that might be an opportunity for you as one of the priority districts for FAFSA completion. We've been able to, if we'll go to the next slide, please. We've been able to connect with our local education agencies. I want to just point out that our community college is a little unique in the sense that we serve a school district that sort of falls in 2 counties. So we're not unique in that we serve multiple counties, Rowan and Cabarrus, but Kannapolis City Schools is about 80% in Cabarrus County of the residents, the students they serve, and 20% in Rowan County. So we have a great opportunity in our partnership with Kannapolis City Schools because of one of the reasons being the residents straddling those county lines. And so we also work with district leaders, primarily the student services leaders at districts in Cabarrus County and Rowan Salisbury schools. One of the things that we're doing that you might want to consider with your district leaders is offering some opportunity for counseling and advising over the summer. So we've been able to post out, and we're going to hire this summer 16 high school counselors to become part of our Rowan-Cabarrus team in promoting FAFSA and promoting college matriculation. So we will be having those 16 folks join our normal advising and financial aid teams over the summer. That's in partnership with our local education agencies. The other thing that's been really beneficial for us is to work with our local chambers. So I serve as the Workforce Development Chair of our Cabarrus Chamber Board, and I cannot speak enough about our Executive Director of our Cabarrus Chamber, Barbie Jones, who has taken on this as part of our workforce development initiatives. There's other things around it, but this is something that's measurable. This is something that we can wrap our arms around in a real way. And I just want you to know we've done things like having a letter come from the board of the chambers written by all of the board members that highlights the importance of FAFSA. And we were able to get that free of charge published in our local paper on March 14th. The other thing that we're working on is an open letter it was an open letter that was targeted toward seniors of the class of 2021. But we also believe that most seniors don't read the newspaper, right? But their families do. So we know that grandmother or auntie or somebody may have picked that up and said, hey, you're graduating this year, right? Do you know about FAFSA? Have you done it? Another prompt to wrap around that. The other thing that we are partnering with our chambers to do is to the business community, get the business community involved. So one of our seasoned financial aid advisors wrote a letter. I had her write a letter to parents. What would you say to parents about the FAFSA? And so she wrote that letter, and we're sending that out to all of the chamber business partners and members to get them to send that to their employees around the FAFSA. And when it comes from your employer, it sort of has a different weight and may get attention. We're also trying to get those employers to give time to their employees to complete the FAFSA if they have a senior. And then we're going to work with a chamber to make those things, our financial aid counselors available in the employment realm. We're working with our local broadcast media. I finished up an interview with some information that they could use radio and television to do that. What I found is that when our community members understand the importance of this, we're getting a lot of this free. We're getting a lot of this advertisement and push free because everyone wants to be a part of it. That makes it so much easier. We're also doing local community group presentations. So we talked about, families of color, students of color, the equity lens on this. And even tonight, we all have on our FAFSA shirts today from Rowan-Cabarrus and Kannapolis City. But even tonight, I'll be doing a presentation that Allison's team member from financial aid is going to be there. Our enrollment management advising team members are going to be there with me, and a former student of ours who has gone on to work on her master's degree is going to be there with me. And we're doing it for a local sorority chapter. And so what we know about communities of color is that, you have to go in with an informant. You have to go in with folks who understand that community and already have those trusted relationships. So I'll be doing that tonight with families and juniors and seniors of high school students for a local chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated tonight, and have been invited to a couple more of those, which are also connected to churches in the area. And so we'll be doing FAFSA presentations and college access presentations. So you can see here that we're reaching as far as we can in as many directions as we can to share the word, give them tools and information that even after our presentations or even after we work with the Independent Tribune, we gave them a whole publishing packet that they can use whenever they want to. If you have a space empty in your meeting time, if you have a space empty in your newspaper ad, plug us in, because it's well worth it, and it's a message that's always on time. So I just wanted to throw those out there, and I look forward to hearing some of your ideas after you hear from Allison and the team from Kannapolis City Schools. Allison?
Hey, good morning. I'm Allison Scott, Director of Financial Aid at Rowan-Cabarrus, and I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about some of the things we are doing to increase FAFSA completion rates. So, as we know, data shows that students who complete a FAFSA are much more likely to enroll in higher education and obtain a degree. So as financial aid administrators, our goal and our objective and our job is to help students overcome barriers and achieve their goals for a better tomorrow. So with that being said, we created a local FAFSA initiative that we call FAFSA Now, which you will see on our t-shirts. And the point of this initiative, obviously, is to increase FAFSA completion rates. So we have the shirts made that we wear to all front-facing events, anything where we're going to see community or families, students, even if it's things, like we did a drive-through trunk or treat last year. We wore our FAFSA shirts just to promote it and get it on their radar, to go ahead and complete their FAFSA application. We also have signs that you see here that we have placed around campus, all of our satellite campuses. We place them strategically, closer to the highways, the main roads. And then on campus in high student traffic areas, we've placed the signs there to remind students as they're walking around, oh, I need to go home and do my FAFSA tonight. We also post a lot of the FAFSA Now stuff on our social media accounts, because we all know that's what students are doing these days. So that's what we're doing with the FAFSA Now initiative. Next slide, please. So with our FAFSA Now initiative, we've created a couple of contests. We know what talks to students: free food, money, gift cards, whatever you can do. So we decided to do a gift card contest. So we partnered with our SGA team, who's fabulous, and worked with us to create a contest for our currently enrolled students at Rowan-Cabarrus. So I sent an email out to all currently enrolled students explaining the contest, the rules, what they need to do, and what they can win. And we have had a really great response from that. So students can win a $50 gift card of their choice, limited to Food Lion, Gas, or Amazon. So how it works is they have to complete the 2021 FAFSA and put our school code on the application. And then we created an online submission link so that once they've done those two steps, they complete our online submission link, and it comes to us in a cumulative document. Then each Friday, we choose a winner from that document to see who the winner of the week is. Send that student an email, allow them to choose their gift card option, and then email them the gift card electronically. And this contest lasts 6 weeks. It's going to last through the end of March. We did that basically to align with the next contest that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about. But again, we posted these contests on our social media outlets as well, with just a link that sends them back to our financial aid webpage that explains the contest, how they enter, and it shows them the submission link. So social media is a big part of that as well. Next slide. So our high school contest, we were really worried this year about not reaching our high school seniors, because we all know this year has been a challenge and has been very different for us reaching students. With a lot of students are learning virtually, are on different schedules, things like that. So we wanted to create a contest to help encourage high school seniors to complete their FAFSA. So I partnered with our local high schools in Cabarrus and Rowan County and created a high school contest for these students. So it's very similar to what we're doing with our currently enrolled, but the high school counselors were really great to partner with me in the fact that they're the ones seeing the students, they're the ones who know the students, and they're the ones who have that student data. So collaboration is really key here. But the students there in the high schools will complete their FAFSA with our school code. And then the high school counselors will send me a list of students from their school at the end of the contest who are eligible to win a $50 Visa card. And we'll choose 2 students from each high school to win that. Next slide, please. So whenever I was communicating with the high school counselors, there are a lot of FAFSA initiatives going on right now. So I made sure to explain that this local initiative of FAFSA Now was separate from the First and FAFSA initiative through myFutureNC. We did encourage the high schools to sign up for that as well, because as you know, you can win grants. You could have won grants money for your school with that. But one thing I wanted to highlight here is this tracker. The tracker on the First and FAFSA website is super cool. And I really like it as a financial aid administrator, because you can go out there and compare your local high schools and see, you know, which schools may need a little extra help, which schools should I reach out to see if I can come and meet with their students to help their FAFSA completion rate increase. So we did make sure to mention that in our emails to high school counselors to utilize the First and FAFSA tools and all the resources that are currently available to students, because there's a lot out there right now that we can use. Next slide. So here's some ideas. We had to get really creative this year with our FAFSA completion events. We do a lot virtually, which honestly has worked really well for us. This is an example of just a virtual FAFSA Assistance Day we have coming up. We've partnered with our career coaches, which you'll hear from a career coach here shortly, but that's a great resource to use. We've partnered with our career coaches to do FAFSA Assistance Nights specifically for their schools. We also are still doing high school FAFSA completion nights in person at those campuses, either socially distanced or even outside. We have created here at Rowan-Cabarrus, we've created something called Student Success on the Move. And what that is basically you're taking your student success teams, your areas, admissions, records, financial aid, whatever you need to meet all the students' needs at one time, and go to where they are. If that's in a high school, even in a community parking lot somewhere, you know, just take your staff out on the road to meet these students and families where they are. So also the high school staff that I'm working with, they're sending letters to families that have not completed their FAFSA to encourage them to get that done. And again, collaboration is key here. I mean, I have high school counselors who have my cell phone number that will call and say, hey, this student has a unique situation. What should I do from here? But again, the high school counselors are the ones who are in there with the students and know what needs they have. So I think it's really great and important to build those relationships with the high school counselors. We offer in-person, socially distanced, or virtual FAFSA events, as well as individual FAFSA completion events. We have extended hours of operation right now with working till, like right now we're working till 8 o'clock some nights. So for these students who are working and can't get to a FAFSA event, we set up individual events with just them, with just their family, at whatever time works for that family. Also, we are going to be a partner with the FAFSA drive-in events that are come. So we're excited about that. Next slide. So serving underrepresented communities is something that's really important to us. We know as we're meeting with these students, a lot of times the students can communicate with us, but the parents can't. And the parents often have all the questions that they want to understand because, you know, students aren't thinking that far ahead yet. So we're increasing our outreach to underrepresented communities and offering our marketing materials in Spanish. So kind of like things like the letters that Natasha mentioned, if we can offer those in Spanish for those communities so that it's easier to communicate with them and they feel more comfortable knowing that that is available. We also make sure to share information with our TRIO groups. So if you're a campus that has a TRIO office on your campus, make sure that you're sharing information and utilizing those services as well for your students. And then CFNC offers a FAFSA night in Spanish as well, where the people can hear the presentation in English or Spanish. So that's a great thing. And the college advisors partner with that to host those events. And then another thing in all the local school systems, from my understanding, everyone has access to a translator. So that's a resource that some of us don't think about utilizing, but we do have access to translators to help those families who may need a little extra help. Next slide. So in talking with some of my local counselors in the high schools, you know, we get the question of why are community colleges a little different when releasing their award packages? And that's exactly right. Community colleges often have a different timeline for processing aid packages due to the fact that community colleges actually have to set up the required system for packaging processing every single year. And that's controlled by the state processing system. So sometimes we don't have the things we need to get the award packages out as early as the universities. But what I will say is a lot of times community colleges have much more flexibility with awarding students. We also have more opportunities for last minute students regarding financial aid and course selections. So even though we may not have the award packages out at the same time, you know, as decision dates early on or commitment dates early on in March, we are getting closer to meeting those goals with the state system office, but just keep in mind that we do have a lot of flexibility typically when awarding students, even if they decide last minute that they want to go to school. Next slide. So some of the things we're going to do going forward in collaboration with our counselors and career coaches and things like that, so right now a lot of our FAFSA events are hosted in the spring. So we think it'll be beneficial to offer FAFSA nights and FAFSA events in the fall as well during like college application week, and then continue those events into the spring term in hopes that a lot of people will complete their FAFSA before spring even rolls around. So we know that FAFSA opens in October. So we hope to start pushing those events a little earlier, like in the fall term. And again, we are working towards getting award packages out sooner so that schools can highlight Rowan-Cabarrus as an option when students are comparing, you know, UNC Charlotte to UNC Greensboro. They want to see Rowan-Cabarrus as a viable option as well. And even though we don't necessarily always have the resources in time, we are getting creative with things we can do institutionally to offer those award package letters, you know, even if it's using scholarship money or institutional funds, anything that we have that can show them that they can't afford to come to Rowan-Cabarrus, and this is what they could get if they come here. Also, we're going to bring financial aid experts to the students to meet them where they are. And that's one thing we've learned during, you know, this pandemic is we have a lot of options to serve students. You know, we don't have to be right here in our office to serve students. So we are going to collaborate with the career coaches and high school counselors to make it easy for students and families to get the assistance they need. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Conyer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shemeda Conyer, and I'm very excited to share with you another collaboration that you could tap into in the local high school. So the North Carolina Career Coach Program is a program that's been designed by the state of North Carolina for us to enter into the high schools and kind of be that bridge between our high school students and the community college system. So far, I've had a wonderful experience at A.L. Brown by being able to assist students with determining their career goals, identifying those pathways that align with their career goals, and then also leading them to see their options at the community college. So we assist students with admissions, their residency determination forms, and also with FAFSA completion. So I feel like that kind of helps us directly connect students and kind of identify, you know, exactly where they need help and how we can help them, and then get them connected to our financial aid offices. So I think being in the high schools have been a great resource for us to kind of meet students exactly where they are and find out those in-depth questions, those complex situations, so we can get those questions answered. I wanted to show you that there are over 83 career coaches in North Carolina. So they're housed in about 33 counties across our area, with most high schools having a career coach there. So here you can see I've added a list of all of the community colleges that have a career coach in the high school. So I think it's important that, if you already haven't developed that relationship with the career coach, we are great resources. They're paid for by the community college, employed by the community college. So you can go ahead and connect with that career coach and start to embed some of those events and activities for FAFSA initiatives with the career coach, and we can kind of drive those in the high school. So we partner directly with the counseling team, the principals, and we establish deadlines and initiatives for our FAFSA completion goals. So far at A.L. Brown, we have drop-in Mondays. We have students. So for example, guys, like if a student comes and says, hey, I know I want to go to community college right now. My office is right across the hall from the counseling team. So they send the student directly to me, and meeting them where they are and having that direct access, I feel like it's going to help our FAFSA completion numbers really rise in the future. We also help identify a lot of barriers. I just like to say that, like, since I've been here, I've been able to help some of those English language learners. Sometimes there's a little hesitancy with, giving out like social security numbers or saying, hey, I need your parents' tax information to complete this. Having that connection and having that person that they can trust has been able to show everyone that, we're here to help you and we're going to be able to help you complete your FAFSA. And I think that's been very, 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 very successful since the implementation of this program. Next slide, sorry. So here we use a career coach tracker. So I just wanted to share a little bit of information about how our financial aid partners in the community colleges can connect with our career coaches, because we have a system that can track students. And so what I do is when I meet with students, we can track like any interactions that they have. We can plan intentional and targeted outreach to students. And FAFSA questions, we can ask them anything. We can track that information in that tracker. So we're writing their names, we're getting their ID numbers, and we're doing targeted outreach every week, every couple of days, to make sure that we're getting those students back into our hands in order to help them complete their FAFSA. One thing I'd like to highlight is the wonderful partnership that I've developed with Allison Scott. She's been so great with, being able to give me access to our financial aid team. So if there's something that I can't handle, I mean, financial aid is a great area, but sometimes it can be complex, and I am not a professional financial aid officer like all of you on this call. And so it's good sometimes to be able to pick up the phone, or I am Allison, and say, hey, I have a student right in front of me. Can you help them? And they've been wonderful at helping those students get to their FAFSA completion. So I would say that it's very important that we partner as career coaches and financial aid professionals, so that students have that direct bridge to the community college. We can say, whatever the issue is or whatever questions you may have, we can help tackle that right now. And that's been successful. So some other valuable information that I think can help us with some of our FAFSA initiatives are our college advising corps. So Chelsea Vickers is our college advisor, and she's been actually in the high school since the beginning of the year. This college advising corps program has been in the high schools since 2005. And they've served and helped over 459,000 students prepare for college. And so that's another partnership that I saw was important coming into the high school, because they have access to a few more resources. So if you're a financial aid counselor professional now and you don't know how to connect, if you don't have a career coach at that local high school, you also have a resource in our college advising corps. And I think that's important. We've partnered on so many different initiatives and efforts, and they also have access to things that our career coach program doesn't have yet. So they have a lot of tracking systems. They can send out text messages and emails that are translated in Spanish. So a lot of outreach efforts that we partner on. So if you look at like the overall collaboration between the high school counselor, the career coach, and a college advisor. I truly feel like with all of these efforts being placed together, we can drive wonderful FAFSA numbers and get these students what they need and prepared to enter into college. So thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Conyer. And that was a great segue into the introduction of the A.L. Brown FAFSA Dream Team. So good morning, everyone. I am Shaniqua Marlowe, school counselor here at A.L. Brown High School. And so I definitely want to echo everything that Shemeda shared about us. And so one thing that she did not share is that we are all new to A.L. Brown this year. And I think one of our strengths is that we are new and we are bringing our experiences, our past experiences, in reference to admissions, working in financial aid, recruitment, and then Chelsea being a recent graduate, being able to support our students. So we are working diligently here at A.L. Brown High School to collaborate with those FAFSA completion efforts. So you've met Mrs. Conyer, and we also wanted to introduce Ms. Chelsea Vickers, who's on the call as well as our college advisor. Next slide, please. And so first up, we definitely wanted to highlight the Finish the FAFSA Tracker that you all are probably aware of. This is something that we review weekly to ensure that our student numbers are accurate and to ensure that we have kind of a glimpse, a snapshot of where our FAFSA numbers are. And so just some things to highlight: that Finish the FAFSA Tracker is linked to the Department of Education. So the data there is definitely accurate. It does update every 3 days. And then one thing that we also wanted to highlight is that it's updated after the first semester to ensure that we capture those additional students who may have been promoted mid-year. So that definitely helps with ensuring that no students are falling through the cracks. And so just some things to highlight here. This status, the current status here. So pointing out, we have some students who have maybe not submitted their FAFSA, some students who have submitted but have not completed. And so we're actually able to go in and identify those students and do some additional targeted outreach. I don't know if you all are aware of YAM. That is a mail merge that I live by. And so being able to send personalized messages to students and parents to ensure that they are aware of their particular situation and what's required has definitely been very beneficial. And so going in here to see that students have completed it or they're missing something, or if they've been flagged for verification. And so I know that that's a huge one. Many of our students have been selected for verification. So just doing some targeted messaging to those specific students to explain what it is, and just to explain, hey, I was selected for verification every year. I get it. Let me provide you with some additional information. And so using this tracker allows us to be proactive and to do some targeted outreach to ensure that our students and families are successfully completing that FAFSA. We also have here for you our own A.L. Brown specific tracker. And so one thing that I'll mention is that Finish the FAFSA Tracker is awesome. We created our own because we wanted to be able to compare data as well. And this is one that we can share with everyone in Google. And so everyone has access to view this here. And so just a few things that I wanted to point out here. Definitely our partnership with Rowan-Cabarrus Community College here. So I see that my first student here was accepted to Rowan-Cabarrus College. However, she had not yet submitted her FAFSA. And so I, as a school counselor, am able to go in and look at this data, share it with Mrs. Conyer, our career coach, and then reach out to that student. So pulling that student from class, hey, I see that you've been accepted. Congratulations. However, you've not yet submitted your FAFSA. And so we're able to partner and work with each other to determine what the cause is. And so oftentimes it's a student who just felt, hey, I got accepted after submitting my FAFSA initially. So it's like, hey, let's go in and make a change to your FAFSA. So we're actually able to do some targeted outreach by tracking this data. Also, if there's a student who says here, I'm not going to file my FAFSA on the second row, or I'm not planning to attend college, as a school counselor, that's an opportunity for me to use this data to go in to have a conversation with that student. And oftentimes, Mrs. Conyer can tell you, I'm sending an email to her while I'm meeting with the student to connect her and the student, because we want to ensure that all of our students have a plan post-graduation. And so oftentimes those conversations result in Mrs. Conyer convincing them to enroll into a certificate or diploma program at Rowan-Cabarrus. And so I am constantly selecting or reviewing data and analyzing data to help to drive those informed decisions. And so I definitely can't echo enough the importance of that partnership with our career coach, who's right across the hall from us, to be able to connect her immediately with our students. And she's very prompt in her response as well. So we definitely collaborate there. And then on the right side of the screen here, I just wanted to kind of point out how the data pulled from this tracker, we kind of keep it here, and our college advisor, Ms. Vickers, maintains all of this here. So I definitely have to give her the credit. But we have here, you know, she has the number of students who completed the FAFSA, the number selected for verification, and it's all kind of the same information that's kept in both trackers, but it's just kind of a clean, condensed form here. So it lets us know where we are at all times. Next slide, please. And so completion through collaboration, we definitely can't echo it enough. You know, we really cannot, it takes a team, right? It takes a village. And so we cannot do this work working in a vacuum or working siloed. And so one of the things that I did at the beginning of the school year and also the middle of the school years, sent out a senior post-grad survey just to identify our students, just to see kind of what their plans were, their post-graduation plans were, as well as just to identify what steps they had already taken, as well as what help they needed from their school counselor. And so I was able to pull this data. So when our career coach began, I was able to pull the specific students who had already identified that they were planning to attend Rowan-Cabarrus Community College, or a community college, a trade school, they were planning to go to work, or other. And so all of those students, it's a much longer list than what I could fit here, but all of those students, I kind of plopped them into a Google Sheet, shared it with Mrs. Conyer, and we were able to dive deeper into that, into the data here. And so, you know, this student says, I want to attend Rowan-Cabarrus, but I need help. Or this student says, I've submitted an application, submitted the FAFSA, applied for scholarships, and I'm attending Rowan-Cabarrus. This student says, I've only submitted an application, or I've not started the process. And so we were able to do some targeted outreach to those students to help them and to meet them where they were in their efforts. And so that allowed Mrs. Conyer to come in with a caseload ready to hit the ground running to assist our students. She and I also partner to, as I mentioned, review that tracker data quite often to ensure that we're catching students and no students are falling through the cracks. In addition to that, just coming from my role as a previously as a college advisor and working in admissions and recruitment, and just knowing the importance of ensuring that our students are aware of all of their options and preparing for all options. And you'll notice here I have whatever their current future plans are, because we know that those can change. And so I encourage all of my students, regardless of what their current future plans are, to submit an application to Rowan-Cabarrus Community College, and to also meet with our career coach here. And so that we are seeing is helping to drive those numbers and to also allow our students to explore their options. And so I'm really big on best fit, best match in that model. And so we are finding that while many of our students had other plans to maybe attend a four-year college or to take a gap year, by having our career coach here on campus 3 days a week, they are actually able to explore those options that they may have never known about. And so we have the opportunity to have her here on campus to help us in those efforts to ensure that our students are applying to the community college, as well as are aware of those options, which in turn helps to drive that FAFSA completion. We're also very excited about Community College Month that's coming up in April, very excited. And so we have an initiative here, as I'm sure you all do as well, but we have an initiative here to work together, myself, our college advisor, as well as Mrs. Conyer, our career coach, to help with FAFSA completion, RDS, applications, everything. And so we have a huge push that's beginning now, but definitely will blossom next month during Community College Month. And then looking ahead to the fall, we are looking to initiate a community college application week that will align with CFNC's college application week or college application month. And so just pushing all of our students who are interested, thinking about, potentially interested in applying to Rowan-Cabarrus Community College. We're looking to have those students to complete the application during that month, as well as complete their FAFSAs beginning October 1st. Next slide, please. And then just to share a little about our A.O. Brown FAFSA outreach here, we just kind of have a timeline of things that we've done. And so in October is when we began to have those initial FAFSA nights, and also partnering with CFNC to offer the bilingual FAFSA night. And as you know, October kind of kicked off that FAFSA outreach and the FAFSA opening, so that was definitely imperative. In November, our college advisor mailed letters to families who have not yet submitted their FAFSA. So we know that we can send emails and connect ads and canvas messages all day, but sometimes it's good to get something tangible and a hard copy of something to the parents, because then it becomes real, right? And so in November, we mailed those letters out to students who had not yet submitted their FAFSA. In December is when our college advisor implemented that A.L. Brown specific FAFSA tracker to then compare the data with the FAFSA tracker. And we've seen that, that allows that current data. So even in that 3-day lapse, we're able to do targeted outreach, because the sooner the better. And then in January, we just kind of continued reviewing both trackers and meeting individually with students and families. So our college advisor made herself available to meet individually, in person and online as well with those families. And then in February, she initiated free Monday, Friday sessions in collaboration with other regional college advisors. And so Free Money February just allowed, it gave students and families kind of a set time, like, hey, we're gonna be on, there are gonna be several advisors here and financial aid representatives here to assist you with completing your FAFSA. Just kind of that big push, that final push, because we do know that many of our colleges and universities have that March 1st priority date. And then kind of shifting our focus now, March through May, we are definitely looking to highlight our Rowan-Cabarrus Community College FAFSA completion. And so I did want to highlight here, we do have our Rowan-Cabarrus Community College Foundation scholarships, and that's a blurb that I placed on our student services website, because we do know that oftentimes students and families pair scholarships and financial aid together. And so one way for us to drive and promote financial aid is to also publicize the scholarship opportunities that are out there as well. And we are seeing that students are beginning to ask about them and beginning to apply. And so when we have those conversations, hey, you've applied for this scholarship? Have you also completed the FAFSA? And if so, have you also added Rowan-Cabarrus Community College on your FAFSA? And so we are definitely finding that just kind of putting it out there and communicating to students and families as much as possible has proven to be very beneficial. Okay, and I think it's time for us to open the floor for questions, and to also, we would love, I know that we've shared what we have been doing here on our end, but I am really big on best practices. I know that we all are. So we would love to hear from you all and learn about best practices and ways that we can all work together to help our students.
Fantastic. Awesome presentation with lots of good information. Thank you all so much. Let's maybe come into the chat real quick and see if there's some questions. I don't know, Shemeda, if you saw any in there that you'd like to call out.
Sure. Some of the questions have been addressed, but I definitely want to talk to Kelly Woody to address her questions about her career coach and what she's done with the CCP process. So yes, upon coming to A.L. Brown, I can become a lot. And we have one CCP advisor for our entire county. So one person serving Rowan and Cabarrus County. So quickly she was able to share with me ways that she would need my help in the high school. So I took that information to the counselors and recreated a process to help with that CCP application and registration information, so that it does not take over or cloud what our goal is as career coaches in the high school. And so I would not mind at all to share that information and show what we've created. And we've seen great success. Our CCP numbers will increase. I think those career coaching sessions have increased. And so it's really all about balance. And I think we've done a great job with our CCP advisor, Emily Baldwin, and then with the counseling team here, we were able to get in a room and collaborate and create a great process to help balance that. So I did want to address that question.
I see one question here asking about the drive-in dates and what classes those are eligible for. It's for any student who can complete the current FAFSA that's out there, the drive-in event. So even if you have some class of 2020 students who either need to renew or entering college for the first time this fall, if they decided to take a gap year, those are opportunities for them to get some support to do the current FAFSA that's out there for students who will be in college this fall.
There was a question from Angie Godfrey Dawson, and Natasha did answer it in the comments. So she was asking, is there any consideration for adding more North Carolina career coaches so other areas will be covered? And so like Mrs. Lipscomb said, it is based upon eligibility, but there's a map on that website that can show you, there's a 2019-2020 section, and now they have the 2020 to 23 section that can show you what colleges are in the process of possibly adding that career coach to that local high school. So I would definitely check that out if I were you. It's a great resource.
She asked us the yearly application process.
As far as the career coaches, I can tell you that my grant life, I'm maybe not saying the right thing, but my grant is until 2023, but there are three other career coaches from Rowan-Cabarrus, and theirs is a little bit different. So I believe it's based upon when you were hired. But I think that the program from the local meetings and the statewide meetings, and it looks like the program is going to be around for a while, and it's successful. And I can also share the contact information for Jennifer McLean, who's the lead of that across the North Carolina Community College system. So maybe you guys at your college, you can kind of, share that information with them if you think it's valuable.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shemeda. The only thing I'll add to that is that the Career Coach grant is a matching grant. And so it's a matched commitment between the community college for the salaries of the career coaches, 50%, and then the state grant through the North Carolina Community College system. And so the application cycles you can find on that website or working with Jennifer McLean. And it is a 3-year cycle, as Shemeda said. And we have 4 career coaches, 3 of which are in Rowan-Salisbury school system. And they were, that grant cycle is different than the one that Shemeda's on in Kannapolis City Schools. So we're sort of having overlapping grant cycle. But I think for this meeting and the importance of a career coach, whether through that grant or some other a combination or blended group of people taking on the roles is what we hope that you saw in that partnership, because I'm with you. My team will tell you, we're going after grants. We're going after things that could help us get where we're trying to go. But we're also finding that, so our Cabarrus County schools, many of them don't meet the economic impact eligibility requirements. And so we're trying to duplicate or replicate or find ways to use our existing resources, personnel-wise, to get to the same place. So whether through that grant or some other, I think we wanted to highlight that collaboration and partnership and how it could benefit.
And you all did that beautifully. Thank you so much for all the good work you're doing to serve your community, and to everybody for joining us today. I did see one final question come in about whether the PowerPoint will be available. Yes, it will be. We'll be sending that out in our follow-up newsletter post-webinar. We'll also put it out on the Google folder that y'all should have access to as a priority school district. And then we'll also put in a recording of this out on our YouTube channel. But thank you so much to the Rowan-Cabarrus Community College team, Kannapolis City, A.L. Brown High School team for sharing the amazing work that you're doing. And again, for all the incredible work you're doing to serve students. It was a delight to have y'all with us today. Good to see everyone. I hope there's some rest ahead of you with spring break potentially for our K-12 folks. But good to see you all, and we will see you again in April. Thank you.